Lumos. Hello, good morning, girls, and welcome to English through Harry Potter, Week 1, Part 1. My name is Cole, and it is nice to meet you. So, we're getting started this year, this semester, again, online. And so hopefully we can have a nice semester together. And so I wanted to introduce myself a little bit and introduce the class a little bit and introduce how I got into Harry Potter. So I'm an American. I'm from America. And this is my 10th year in Korea, and it is my 6th year at Seongshin, and this is my 3rd year teaching English through Harry Potter. So, a little bit of background on the class, and a little bit of background on how I got interested in Harry Potter. So let's start with the class. And so Seongshin asked us to, to create new classes, and so I was thinking about something that I was interested in, and something hopefully my students would be interested in. And so Harry Potter is a topic that has come up in my speaking classes and my writing classes sometimes. And sometimes students do a presentation on it, or sometimes they write about it. And it always seemed like there was a few students in each of my classes that were interested in Harry Potter, which I liked because I am too. So I proposed this class at Seongshin, and it is, I think it's the first of its kind in some ways. There are a lot of Harry Potter classes. You can look at them online in America, but most of those classes, or all of those classes, that were usually literature-based, meaning that they were designed for English-speaking students, and it was reading a part or all of the books or something like that. And so I was unable to find another class that was designed for English speakers, English as a second language or English as a foreign language. And I know of no other school in Korea who has such a class. And so I think that's part of what makes this class hopefully special. And so it is my creation, and I'm very proud of it. It's my baby, and I definitely want to welcome you to this experience, okay? So, a little bit how I got involved or interested in Harry Potter is I've always been kind of a big reader. I like to read, I like to write. I think that's pretty much how I got into teaching English, is because these are things that I like to do in my free time as well. And so, growing up, I was a big fan of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. They're 4 books by J.R.R. Tolkien, and they really have defined the modern day fantasy genre. And so when I was your age, when I was in high school, there was no such thing as Harry Potter. And so even when I was in university, that's right when J.K. Rowling was starting to write them, so they still were not even published at this time. So when I was a university student, first-year university student, or a university student like yourself, there was no such thing as Harry Potter. Very sad, right? So anyway, I'm a big fan of some fantasy books, and I do like the genre. But when Harry Potter came out, it was very much I don't know. I know it was really big with kids, and I don't know if it was really marketed towards kids or if it was just the kids who gravitated towards it. And for a long time, it was really just considered a book or books for kids. And so I didn't have a lot of interest. And a friend of mine, I was living in New York City at the time, and she said, have you ever read the Harry Potter books? And so at this time, it was probably around 2005. So only, I think, 5 of the books had even been published. They wasn't even finished at this time. And I said, oh, no, I'm not interested in Harry Potter. It's kids books. And so there was an event in 2006, and it was in New York City at the Radio City Music Hall. It's a large, famous auditorium in New York. And it was a charity event, and it was called An Evening with Harry, Carrie, and Garp. So Harry is Harry Potter, and Carrie is a book by an American author named Stephen King, and he is, excuse me, I'm getting all hot. These robes are hot. Stephen King's an American horror, mostly known for horror writer, and I'd read a few of his books. I was a fan. He's a great writer, and actually the author I was most interested in was this guy John Irving, and he wrote a book called The World According to Garp. So it was Harry, Carrie, and Garp, and so Garp was the John Irving, and so I went with my friend, and I got a ticket, and the first speaker came out was John Irving, and the crowd was very enthusiastic. And he came out, he read a story, he read a short story, a famous short story of his, it was a chapter from a book, his book Owen Meany. And it was great, and it was a real thrill for me to see this guy read his own work. He's an amazing author. And then after, there was a question and answer session, and people asked him some questions. And so the next author to come out was Stephen King. And so he's really famous in America, not only for his books, but a lot of his books have been made into movies that have been successful and done well. And so the crowd kind of, sort of, it was a louder, they were getting really excited, and then he read one of his short stories, and he did a question and answer. So thirdly, J.K. Rowling walks out on stage, and the crowd went nuts. It was screaming and yelling, standing up, and I think for the first time I was really like, who is this woman? Who's this author who is, getting this reception like BTS or, some sort of very popular musical, rock band or something like that. And she came out and everyone went crazy. And she was reading from a book that hadn't been published yet. And that book was The Half-Blood Prince. So I was listening to this, and everyone was so excited that they could hear a little bit of this book before it came out, but I didn't care because I hadn't read any of the other books. And so she read, and she did a question and answer, and it was really neat. And I pretty much went home that night saying, well, I guess I got to read Harry Potter now. And so I did, and over the next few months and the next few years, I read all of the books. There's 7 books. There's 7 books. There's 8 movies, and I read them, and I love them. And I read them, and then I read them again, and then I read them again. And over about 10 years, I think I've read all of them about 6 times. They're just every year or two I seem to go back and reread them. And there's a few things that I guess that really make me do that or want to do that, because I'm amazed at the skill of her storytelling. I'm amazed at the books really do kind of start off a little bit more for children or more childlike, but as they progress, they take on these deeper themes, and the finished book and the finished project is really it's for adults as well, and she just makes these really lovable or hateable, but definitely memorable characters, and it is just a thrill to read these or watch the movies, and so that's part of it. The other part about rereading them is I always notice new and different things each time I read, which is exciting. And the other thing, which has been kind of weird, is I think each time I've read them, a different book has been my favorite. And so at times it's been the first book. At times it's certainly been the last book. The last book is amazing. But even book 5, The Order of the Phoenix or The Half-Blood Prince, and each time I kind of pick a different favorite that I read them. So this is the introduction to our class, and I'm going to go back to my office and sit down to record the rest of the lecture. And so welcome to Harry Potter. And the next part of the lecture, I'm going to go over the syllabus and how you're graded and all of that kind of stuff. So, all right, I'll see you in a bit.